It would be great to hear Emily's perspective on what does an API product manager actually do. So please join me in welcoming Emily to the stage.
Thank you. So yes, I am Emily Canon and I'm an API product manager at PEXA, which is a digital property settlement platform for e-conveyancing or the transaction of property across Australia, and most recently also now in the UK. I'll just let you know that I had the flu last week. I've now recovered, but I'm a little bit croakier than usual, so please bear with me today. In saying that, I'm very happy to be here with you to be able to share my insights around the role of an API product manager, particularly discussing how customer centricity and product management practices can be applied for API products. Now, to start, I would like to take you back 5 years where I joined PEXA in a brilliant development squad whose primary purpose at that point in time was maintaining a suite of partner APIs. Now, within the squad, there wasn't too much knowledge around who our API customers were in terms of their drivers or their needs, as that was seen as the business realm. And we certainly didn't view APIs as products. It was a team with a myopic focus. But to cut a long story short, should move to the next slide. Oh, maybe not. Maybe not. Okay, maybe no slides. Oh. Okay, excellent. So to cut a long story short. Well, I will move along. We have successfully transitioned our organisation, not just one squad, to viewing APIs as products. And the key to this journey has really been a shift in mindset. I think it's working now, I'm good. Yeah. Thank you. Has been a shift in mindset to now viewing APIs as products and putting customer centricity at the heart of that. And really what that means is applying product management practices to ensure that the APIs that we build hold mutual value for our customers and in turn for us. So why have a customer-centric approach for APIs? Well, just like with any other product, customer centricity enables you to produce products that your customers actually want and need, which gives you more options to potentially monetize or to provide additional value back to your core product by offering these APIs as connective tissue so that customers can seamlessly interact with your product in their digital channel of choice. Now, organisations can have noble ambitions with APIs, and with the acceleration of API development in the last couple of years, largely due to the pandemic, API, the acronym, can seem a little bit like a business buzzword at times. Every business news site or magazine is spruiking the benefits of APIs for business and why you need an API program. And it's a really exciting time for us in the API space, but in reality, the last thing that you want to do is produce APIs that have no customer and that sit untouched. So in order to ensure that this path isn't taken, customer centricity and product management allow you to build products that your customers actually want and in turn provide value back to your organisation. Is this not working again? Oop. There we go. So from this perspective, API should absolutely undergo the same rigours as front-end products, with the product manager leading the way. The API product manager represents the voice of the customer to advocate for the customer and determining the market fit of the APIs for the broad customer base. And that could be through research or data and insights, personas or journey mapping or interviews, but it is absolutely the role of the API product manager to ensure that the APIs that your organisation is building is wanted, needed, appealing to your broad customer base in alignment with your business goals and your strategic direction. For me, I see success in my role as an API product manager as a dance between delighting my customers while also driving impact for my organisation. Now, you can't talk about customer centricity without understanding who is your customer. And with APIs, the immediate answer that comes to mind is developers. And they're your primary API customer. And as an API product manager, it's your role to advocate for them, to work toward giving them a frictionless onboarding experience, to give them APIs that are easy to use, immaculate documentation, and APIs that they ultimately see as valuable. But I go one step further than this to say that depending on your type of business, API customers could also include business managers, whether business product managers, business process managers, or operation managers, as sometimes they can be the decision makers around whether or not to use your APIs. And that's certainly a learning that I've taken in the course of my role as API product manager. And it's often a customer type which is largely overlooked in broader API discussions. Now, in practical terms, a great way to understand who is your customer is through customer personas or archetypes. Personas and archetypes allow you to group your customers by characteristics or behaviours which bring your customers to life and allow you to empathise with them, to understand their goals and their mindsets. By employing this design thinking practice, we can get one step closer to our customers to understand them. Now, the research techniques to develop personas or archetypes for front-end products is very much the same for APIs. And again, we're demystifying APIs as purely a technology capability, and instead we're viewing them as a product, and we're applying product management principles such as interviews or observations in order to develop personas. Now, in our case, we wanted to develop a set of customer archetypes. So we went through the process of defining a set of research questions, and we set up some interviews with customer stakeholders, from developers who are the primary users of the API, through to some business managers who have made decisions on whether or not to use them, and also business analysts who are sometimes that first point of contact in actually using or looking at your API for the implementation. Importantly, at the end of that process, we came to understand that we had 5 different customer archetypes, not just the developer as is the common school of thought, not taking away from the fact that they are the primary API customer, but there are others that we needed to consider in order to make our API product strategy and our go-to-market strategy successful. Now, this brings us to API product strategy, of course, which is a core element of the role of an API product manager. And here, again, customer centricity and product management come together, enabling us to form a strategy for the purpose of bringing value for our customers and for our business in alignment with our business goals and our strategic direction. I was having a discussion just last week with someone, and they said to me, surely it's only logical that you would build APIs that your customers actually need. And at face value, this would seem to be true, but for whatever reason, with APIs, there can be a tendency to take an internal out view and to first reflect, what data or what functionality do we as an organisation have that can be developed into an API, and then externalisation or monetisation are afterthoughts. I guess the problem with that internal out perspective is that it doesn't necessarily always equate to meaningful or valuable for your customers, and it could lead you down that path of developing APIs that sit untouched. So instead, you need to shift your focus, bring it back to customer centricity, and start off with the question, how can we create value? And really what it all comes down to is research and feedback to formulate an evidence-based strategy. And now that's all good and well theoretically, but what does that actually look like in practice? Well, for me, it means that if I receive feedback around my APIs, I treat it as gold. I take every opportunity to go on site with customers, to have meetings with customers, to hear from them directly. I work closely with my customer success teams to stay extremely close to our customers. I run surveys, I run interviews, and of course I stay across the API data usage as well. I also have a product board where I centralize all of these inputs to give me easy access to enable me to strategize and prioritize more effectively so that I'm working from fact, not assumption. And what I've learnt is that the more time that I spend with my customers and the more of a rapport that I develop with them, then the more honest, candid, and pointed their feedback is, which enables me to craft an API product strategy that responds directly to their needs. So human engagement and interaction is critical in eliciting quality feedback. So have those workshops with your customers and ask them questions like, what are your problems or your pain points? What are your inefficiencies? What data is of interest? And apply frameworks like the jobs to be done. And again, another product management technique. Now, another important process that I've learnt as an API product manager is to understand the customer use cases for how they're actually using your APIs. For me, it's sometimes been surprising the fantastic way that customers have used our APIs was not necessarily how we initially had imagined. And staying across this is important as it enables you to continue to evolve your product strategy based on real usage. I guess the success for an API product is to become a seamless and a critical piece in many different customer experiences and ecosystems. For, I guess, your software development lifecycle, it's not just the API product strategy where feedback from customers is critical. You should also think about staying customer-centric during your design and your delivery of your APIs. I'm not going to go into too much detail in design and delivery because you can have an entire discussion on that in itself, but suffice to say, keep your customer at the heart of it, mock up your APIs, get feedback, release APIs in beta to those select few who will use it quickly and give you feedback quickly as well. So keep your customer at the heart of API discovery, design, and delivery. Now, it goes without saying that the API economy has grown significantly in the last couple of years. Like I said, thanks to the pandemic, and a Gartner report released this year showed that 80% of surveyed organisations plan on providing publicly exposed APIs in 2022, compared to 46% in 2019. So for an API to stand out in this API economy, your go-to-market strategy is critical. And really what this is all about is making your APIs discoverable and your onboarding experience frictionless. Now, quality documentation is central to this. When customers start using your APIs, they want as much self-service capability as possible. They don't want to have to ask you questions about what this means or how to do this. So giving your customers immaculate documentation will ultimately lead to higher customer conversion. An API developer portal is also critical as it's a central access point for your APIs for customers. Again, I won't go into too much detail around what makes an effective API developer portal because that's another discussion, but it absolutely needs to be part of your consideration for your go-to-market strategy. But going one step further, it also meant for us understanding the friction points in our API onboarding experience. And to do this, again, we use a product management technique of customer journey mapping, where we spoke with our customers and understood their end-to-end journey. We understood their painful moments, the friction points that they felt, the frustrating moments, as well as the delightful moments, which in turn gave us feedback to continue to improve and to this day iterate on that onboarding journey to ultimately work toward making it frictionless. So it absolutely is the role of the API product manager to think about your customer onboarding experience and to continue to evolve it to get to that end state of frictionless. But I guess to get to the developer portal or to your onboarding process, it assumes that your customer knows about your APIs. So how did they find out about them? Well, for B2B APIs, pre-sales, old school pre-sales might be a consideration. And referring back again to your personas, you can work with your sales and your marketing team to craft collateral that resonates strongly with the customer types that they're meeting with. for B2C customers, and also earlier in the day we heard about algorithmic customers. There are other marketing activities that you might want to think about to raise awareness for your APIs. That could include conferences like today, developer forums, marketplaces, blogging. There are many marketing activities that you should consider. Ultimately, though, it is absolutely part of the role of an API product manager to coordinate and to collaborate with marketing and sales for the purpose of achieving greater customer adoption of your APIs and to work towards a frictionless developer portal experience. Now, measuring your APIs is another important element to the role of an API product manager. And finding the right metrics, or the business metrics that is, can be challenging. It's something that I've had to think about differently, and it will continue to evolve. Now, there's a tendency to focus on the operational metrics for APIs like error rates or requests per minute, and they are simpler to measure. But again, that is, I guess, that technology capability or IT-centric view of APIs. So it is important to also measure your APIs from a business perspective. And I think it's the Apidays State of the API report from last year showed that only 18% of organizations are currently measuring their APIs for impact and effectiveness. So what are your options to measure APIs from a business perspective? Well, if you have direct monetization, you can, of course, track the incremental value that the API is bringing into your business, so the incremental revenue that is. In saying that, the majority of organizations don't directly monetize their APIs. And again, Apidays' survey showed this. Which brings us to indirect monetization. And there's nothing wrong with indirect monetization. It can be equally as valuable, but you need the business metrics in order to show this. So what are the options? You can track the new channel enablement that your APIs has brought to your business. You can track the revenue or the transactions that have flowed through your APIs. You can also look at the number of partners using your API and the value of those partners to your business. If you want to look at it from a customer perspective, you could understand the time savings and the efficiency gains that your API has provided to your customers through automation of activity as an example. And potentially you could overlay a monetary value on that. Now, depending on your API maturity, customer retention is also an interesting business metric that is measuring what retention looks like for customers who use your APIs as opposed to those who use your web channels. The assumption being that the personalization, the customization, and the ability to seamlessly weave your API into their workflow or their digital experience has provided a compelling retention strategy. And so you want business metrics to show this. Which brings me to my conclusion. So APIs can open new business opportunities if we approach them through a customer-centric mindset. And product management practices allows you to keep that customer focus and ultimately provide APIs that hold value for your business and your customer. So 4 key takeaways. Firstly, use product management techniques like personas to understand who is your customer, what are their drivers. Secondly, research and feedback is critical to developing an API product strategy that's evidence-based, and always welcome human interaction as a part of this. Secondly, work on offering a frictionless onboarding experience as part of your go-to-market strategy, and also tailor your go-to-market strategy to suit your customer types. Lastly, measure and track your APIs in order to understand their business value and impact, as that allows you to truly understand the success of your product strategy and to continue to evolve your product strategy. Thank you. Thank you.
And also compliments on her timing. So we've got about 5 minutes for questions for Emily.
Oh no, that's too much.
So yeah, well, we don't have to take the whole time. But any questions, guys? Feel free to come up to the mics, just so the people on the stream can also hear your question.
Hello. Thank you. First of all, 2 questions. First is, what's the strategy behind the discoverability of APIs? Traditionally, things like Rapid API lists are usually what business use. Just wanted to know, if you have a take on how to potentially boost that and make that an actual, because I found that not all times you actually get a metric behind that you can actually successfully,
Yeah.
provide as a successful metric for your own managers.
Yeah.
Second is, what's the pathway to become an API product manager?
Yep, definitely. So in terms of the first one, Rapid API, you mentioned, certainly could do that. I think I was watching API Days New York recently, and I think one of the speakers actually went through the pipeline of their developer portal. So going from, I guess, the SEO experience through to the landing page, through to the connection, and the drop-off rate at every stage. So that's something you can potentially think about measuring as well if you're very focused on that customer adoption and how to better improve that customer experience to achieve greater conversion. So certainly the developer portal, making it easy access. I know for some, you exist in a regulated environment and the access needs to be thought about in different ways, but I guess for public APIs, the gold standard is, easy access, which SEO can lead to, and that pipeline to take you all the way through to connecting to your API. The speed to hello world, to make that quick and frictionless to achieve greater adoption. The pathway to becoming an API product manager, I think in terms of skill sets, I think product management practices, absolutely critical. Good communication skills, because you're going to be working with multiple stakeholders. I don't think there's a linear pathway for myself. It certainly wasn't. It was about taking opportunities as they arose, having a natural curiosity, wanting to stay close to your customers. So yeah, I think there are many different journeys to become an API product manager. Some come from a development background or a business analyst background. Others are coming from pre-sales like myself, or product ownership as well, which I also undertook. So many different pathways, because I guess product managers need such a diverse range of skill sets, so there's not really one linear way to get there. Yeah.
Just got a couple of minutes then, quick one.
You spoke about the tendency for organizations who are putting out an API to work inside out. This is the data that we have.
Yeah.
Make the best use of it. How do you bridge the gap between that and finding out what your customers need? Basically, advertising the information that you have.
Yeah.
There seems to be a gap there. How do you
Yeah,
bridge that?
absolutely. So you can, of course, have workshops and ask customers, what are your pain points? You could even ask them what data is of interest. You can go to them with what you are thinking and test out their appetite. I think what is important is that you do all of that research before you start designing your API. Make sure that, before it even hits the development squads to start that API design, that you are concrete in your understanding that it is valuable, and having those direct communications with customers and opening those communication channels so you can have those candid conversations is critical. So.
Maybe squeeze one more question in if it's quick.
Sure. You spoke about how only 18% of companies are using impact as a measurement basically. So what are some, for example, for organization that might be using OKRs, what would be some key results that would emphasize the impact?
Yeah. So I guess, like you said, it would depend on your key results. But if, for instance, you wanted to, if you were to have a retention measure as a key result, so retain 30%, you want to apply that to your product, to your API products as well, to understand on your API channels, what is the percentage of customers who, the retention looks good compared to the web channels. So you certainly can, your OKRs, I guess, as an organization, well, I kind of see it as a triangle. The organization's OKRs, business goals, objectives, should go all the way down to the various products, including API products. You shouldn't be on a separate tangent, because that potentially will lead you in the direction of not bringing value to your business. So.
Thank you, Emily.
Thank you.
Please join me in thanking Emily. Well done.